Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we have something really special. I'm actually in North Carolina for work for the weekend, and I took this opportunity to come out to a friend of mine's. Well, I actually just met the guy. His name is Mark. We've been friends on Instagram. He invited me out. I was gracious enough to do that, to come and check out his build. If you guys know, I really like EG hatches. I've had several of them in the past. And when I found out he had one also, and the build quality is insane, I had to come check it out. So this is what your parents never want you to do, but this is what I'm doing right now. So we got Mark here, and then I got my my coworkers, my friends actually, Brandon here, and Wilson, and we've got Han over there too. What do we have here?
95 Civic hatchback. I'm going to road race it and probably take it to some cars and coffees and just chill with it, man. It's just a fun, enjoyable build. It's still going to be a street car, even though it doesn't look like it.
Now, did you compete in Time Attack with this car, or was that a different car?
That was a different car.
Okay, got it. So this is completely new, brand new to you.
Completely new, bigger wheels, bigger brakes, more power, more lighter.
So we were talking a little bit earlier. Mark has done basically 99% of this car on his own. And a lot of the cars on this channel are cars that have been built specifically by the people who actually drive the cars, that own the cars. So I appreciate, you know, the tech aspect of it and being able to build on your own, the DIY type of stuff. When I saw this and I found out that Mark is doing everything on this car, yeah, I just had to come see it. Let's talk about the car. So let's talk about the engine.
It's a Golden Eagle block, 4-piston ported head, every internal, capable of 1,000 horsepower. I'll probably start out around 6. I think that'll be a good fun number to test and learn, etc.
Now, what's interesting is that everyone usually goes K, right? Everyone usually goes K. They're just like, throw a K series in there. So
Correct.
Why is it that you have a B series in here, and specifically it's actually a B16, right? B16?
Correct. I go back 20 years in this, and my first ever Honda had a B16 in it. So I'm sticking with this for a while. There are plans, and I am talking to companies about going K for the sequential transmissions, etc. But I want to see what this platform can do in this shape, and I really want some really good times out of this engine and platform.
You don't always have to go K. You can go with what you like. As you can see here, it's a B16. You can go against the grain and it's totally fine. One thing I actually really wanted to talk about was your cooling system setup, because if you look, all you see is an intercooler here and there's no cooling system. So where is the cooling system, and why did you have to do the cooling system the way you did?
All right, so the radiator's in the trunk, and it's caused a lot of controversy. A lot of people don't like it, a lot of people like it, but the main thing is it gives me better weight distribution. That's a pro. The biggest pro for me is that look at the room that I have to do whatever I want. Instead of building around a radiator for cooling, I built my turbo system how I want it, which is low center of gravity turbo, freshest air that you can get. That whole setup will give me a better weight distribution, and it cleaned up my engine bay tremendously.
Right.
I guess is the two key factors.
So to me, it's really interesting because you usually see a setup like this, like on a drag car, right?
Correct.
You see it set up like this in a drag car.
Car setup.
Right.
I drag raced for 7 years with Nopey drag racing.
Oh, Jesus.
Cool.
Nopey, Brent.
Yeah. So this with this car right here, my CRX.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm still into that.
Yeah.
But road racing is more fun. Drag racing, I'm not knocking it. It is fun too. When you got a 7-second car, it is fun. But road course racing, coming out of the turns and power forward and then slamming on your, it's just another world. I just implied some of the drag racing worlds, and you can thank FCS Race kind of for giving me the idea, because he moved his radiator in the rear, but his was really small. So I tried that and I had problems, and so that's how I ended up with such a large radiator now.
That's really cool, because this is a setup, type of setup that you just don't see very often. Yeah. And when I saw it, I'm like, huh, like, that's very interesting. But, you know, when you explain that, the reason why you did these things, it completely makes sense, you know? What do you got done to the transmission?
So it's some GSR gears, some LS gears. My main track is going to be VIR. So it's kind of set up to where I get in the third gear, like the first 5 turns of VIR, I can stay in that gear.
Got it. So this is specifically built to run that track often.
Correct. Really, I have 2 more transmissions, so I'll play with that.
If you look here, you don't see the normal OEM or the clutch slave cylinder in the normal OEM location. So you see it, it's tucked up right in there. And why is it that way?
So one of the reasons why is because the shock reservoir and the factory stuff didn't like each other. So I made options to move that thing and I actually moved it inside the car, which actually the engine bay looks cleaner too. So it's just a big pro all around in my world.
A lot of times when people build cars, you run into issues with clearance and not having enough room. You have to find very creative ways to implement these things. And this is a prime example of that right here. And you got the 2-way coilovers and you have to have a spot for the reservoir to mount, but now that takes away the location for the clutch slave cylinder, so you have to relocate that too. So it's never just a quick bolt on and you're ready to go. It's always something, right? You ran some hoses of some type through the actual the frame of the car, right?
They run into the frame of the car, but I did drill holes into the frame, and I do have roll bars reinforcing that. But it's just a good, clean way to tuck the oil cooler to the front bumper.
Well, the hoses run straight through the actual the frame up here, the front portion, all the way through, and then back out here by the firewall. It's really cool. I've never seen that before.
So it also has a Moroso accumulator right here that feeds it oil pressure if I was to lose oil pressure on return.
You got a breather? Oh yeah, you got a breather sitting right here.
I'm using a port here. I'm tucking everything away, and then I got a radium can inside the car, and then I breathe back out to the engine bay.
So that's something I've also haven't seen before. You have a lot of firsts for me here.
Even like my brake lines, I have tucked on the left side. Most people tuck them right side, come in the center of the car. I moved everything on the right side, and I've got the propulsion valve really low. And even my lines that run to the back, they run into the rocker panel.
Oh, wow, nice.
Even with my wires, and that gets my wires real low. There's no factory wires. I built the entire wiring harness on this car myself.
Got it.
Brake lights, headlights, everything works. But everything's in here to be a lower center of gravity. Keep in mind that is like a big deal on this car for me.
Since we're on the topic of brakes, what do you have for brakes set up here?
I deleted the proportioning valve and used the Hund, and then I bought what they recommend as far as valving. We'll see how that works.
Got it. I actually want to run that setup over the winter too. I think I'm going to change over.
My friend done it, Will, and he loves it.
Okay, cool. That's good to know, because I really want to do that.
And then I'm using Stop Tech trophies for the front.
2-piece rotor. Looks like is that also a Stop Tech rotor, or is that
everything's Stop Tech?
Everything's Stop Tech. Yeah. Okay.
Something you may find interesting, the 5 lug is actually off of a 2001 CRV.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it's the exact same part number as the Type R engine.
Got it. So that's a 36 mil hub. Yeah.
Correct.
I made the mistake of doing that too. So axles are a little bit tougher to find.
But actually, no, if you do B series and that, you just buy
JDMI.
CRV. No, say CRV.
Really?
Yeah, you buy left and right and they fit.
Oh.
No problem.
I was reading that people were having fitment issues on that.
2001. These are drive shaft.
I see.
But CRV.
Okay. And I see you got the Battlecraft titanium lug nuts too, right? Is that what they are?
I love those guys.
Oh, dude, I saw those when they came out, and I was like, oh man, I just bought lug nuts. I don't want to buy them again.
This car is 90% titanium. That's another feature of the motor. If you look, the entire housing is titanium. That's titanium. Most of the bolts to it are titanium.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
I see that.
Even the suspension hardware and everything is titanium.
Jeez.
So I lost about 25 pounds doing that, just in bolts. So
that's crazy.
That's another advantage that I took advantage of.
I've never done that to a car.
This is the first one I've done. So
I did it to a bike, but then I was like, man, that costs a lot.
Yeah, it does, don't it? Yeah, I have about $1,700 in just bolts.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Rear brakes is just the Integra Type R stuff.
Okay.
So it's just the rear trailing arm and everything.
I see.
So really simple.
What do you have for your wheel setup here?
So it's an Inky. It's an 18 by 10 and a half, 295 tire. These are Toyo tires. These are my show tires, I guess. You can actually see the size over here.
Now, mind you, this is a 295, whereas like most street Hondas run like a 205.
Yeah.
My car is running a 225, and I thought that was kind of wide already. So a 295 is almost as wide as like our Lamborghini Huracan rear wheels, rear tires. Like it's very close to that size, and to have that much meat up front of the Honda, it's gonna grip for sure. You're planning on running A7s on here too, so
Correct.
That's gonna be super sticky.
I'll show you this hole that's right here.
Okay.
And this hole that's right here. So it'll be titanium exhaust that runs out. Because the whole car is going to be flat bottom and there's going to be no
That's
room.
true, yeah, that's
And it's
right.
got an exit behind the driver per some rules.
What Marcus is saying, there's a hole here, cut, and this is where his exhaust is going to come up and into the actual passenger cabin, and then back out outside of the car in that hole right there. He's basically gonna have a flat bottom, and I mean, look at this cooling setup. If you have that here, you really can't run an exhaust down here because all of this cooling system is in the way. This is your overflow right here,
That is
radium.
the radium swirl port and a Chase Bay's catch can, overflow can.
Let's talk about your fuel system. What do you got? What do you got under the engine? On the engine, first off.
I was actually, a few years ago, back for my V1, I was sponsored by Skunk 2, so I have Grams 2100.
What fuel are you gonna be running on here?
Probably Sunoco 117, which is what I have right now.
Okay.
I am capable of running E85, but I also live really close to them and really good friends with the Sunoco people, so I might be running and sticking with their stuff, which is 117, which usually works for me.
Right. I mean, it's convenient for you, so
Correct.
why make it tough?
Correct.
So what about your fuel pump setup over
So
here?
the fuel pumps are, there's a Skunk 2 external pump, have a aluminum built tank in the factory location.
Okay.
And then I pull off of an external pump that pumps to the radium, and I have 3 pumps in there, and that's just to help keep surge down and etc.
Because this thing's going to be seeing a lot of lateral G's. You need that fuel.
We hope. Sooner than later, too.
What do you got for the suspension setup here?
So I have Fortunato Pro 2As. I love them. They're one of my great sponsors. I appreciate that, guys.
They're 2-ways?
They're 2As.
Reservoirs are mounted up here.
Yes. They're easy to get to, access, and everything's kind of mounted a little lower.
We can educate the viewers about what this external reservoir is. So basically, it's a two-way set. It's a two-way coilover setup. Typically, like on a one-way adjustable, compression and rebound is adjustable
In the same
proportionately.
valve. Yes.
In the same valve. When you go to two-way or three-way, and then like some of the coilover companies have like multiple
There's
different
a
ways to
four-way,
adjust it.
yeah.
You're able to adjust rebound and compression individually apart from each other with the two-way or three-way or however many ways you end up getting. A lot more adjustability for your suspension setup, especially something like this. You're going to want to tune it to its maximum potential. So we got Fortune Auto coilovers. What else you got here?
I'd like to also thank Kingpin. Kingpin is a big part of the front end of this car. The car is 100% spherical. There's not one thing on here that's not spherical.
Yeah, nothing rubber on here.
So
Right?
yeah, so I really want to thank Kingpin, PCI uppers, and then that's about it.
All right, so this is a mostly time attack car, so it's gonna have some type of aero on it, and it looks like it's already gonna be pretty crazy.
So it's going to have probably a splitter on it that's 96 inches wide, is what I'm thinking. So it's 96 by 48. I know the front. I actually made right off the FCS subframe, there's 2 points of mounting. So that actually starts 2 points of mounting for the front splitter. Once I get to that, there's another tab right behind that to mount the flat bottom that goes from here to here. So the whole car has tabs hanging off of it, and those tabs actually are at a 7-degree rake. The flat bottom portion of the car will rake 7 degrees. And then once I get to the back, it'll be at that same rate, but then I'll build back diffuser probably a few different ways. It's going to be kind of simple, but rather aggressive. One of the features that I like about the car is like my side skirts. I actually have right here. This is built into the case. Being that you just don't want to mess with a side skirt, this is all you do. And then you just jack it.
That's your lift point right there.
That is the jack point outside of
So, I mean, if you look, there's this giant side skirt here, and then how are you going to get a jack under there? You can't. So that's what this is built for. Super simple, easy, get your car up. That's really cool. Lots of forethought for sure. I mean, you have to when you're building something like this, right?
Yeah, I know that big side skirts, and I go to the track like a little Miata. You've probably seen it's red. I'm not sure who he is. It's really aggressive Miata. And he was jacking his up on the outside. And I said, you know what? If I ever make big side skirts and can't get under the car, that would come in handy.
Yeah,
So we
absolutely.
done.
So lots of aero that's going to be going on this car. My car, I'm not going to touch aero at all. I need to learn, because I'm still learning how to drive. I need to learn mechanical grip, all that stuff before I start adding aero. Obviously, Mark is a lot more experienced than I am, and that's why he's got all this aero. What's up with these fenders, man? You want to talk about these fenders?
It's actually one off. I had, trying to remember his name. You know, was it Frank's Fiberglass? He does a lot of drag racing stuff.
I'm not aware of him.
He helped me design these and make these. As you see, it's just really hard to get coverage over those.
Yeah, 295s for sure.
These actually, if you pick one of these up, it weighs pound and a half.
And then you've got like an
Just
over
a
fender.
simple over fender.
In the
I
rear
didn't go
here.
too crazy with metals because I figured if I wreck the car, this is a lot much easier fix and remedy.
So typically, like a company like PCI, their spoiler will mount onto the trunk and onto like the spoiler up top, the factory spoiler. He has basically chassis mounted spoiler, so it comes through his rear bumper here, and it's mounted onto, looks like a bar down here.
You see that, Wilson?
Wait, I didn't see what you did. What did you do?
Just disconnect.
Quick disconnect. And bop, that rear bumper's off. Modular. And this is the mount for the spoiler back here.
Into the horns.
So that is just the factory mount point for the rear crash bar.
Yeah, so you know it's
With
rigid.
my own little CNC. Yeah, it's
Here we go. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Wow. Oh yeah.
That's downforce right there.
It's gonna work.
It's gonna work.
Yeah, for sure. These are the risers, right?
So this right here is the riser.
Oh, jeez, look at that.
It is very large.
And in charge.
And this removes the Osaka, and that's where this goes.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're doing here.
Oh.
That's what you're
So
doing.
then I have the 74-inch wing that goes on top.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
get two
Yeah.
two planes.
Correct.
You said 74 inch, right?
Correct.
So,
So-
think about 74 inches. What's the width of the car first off?
Oh, it comes about
less than
right
74.
Yeah, it's about right here.
That is
It
gonna be
comes
massive.
right it's probably even with the front fenders.
Okay.
I think.
And for aero to work in cornering, you have to be going fast.
Correct.
You have to be going
50
fast for all
miles
that
an hour.
work.
You're wasting
Yeah.
money. In there, so. Like right here is my toe. I keep it beside of me, but if we ever have, and this is strong enough. That is a toe point, and then right here, you know the what is it called? That's a little zip
okay.
place for the
I
tire.
see. Yeah, transponder.
I built that.
How's this locking in place in here?
So just a ball.
Oh, okay. I see.
So I drilled a hole, and that ball locks. I caught a lot of heat about the one up front.
Yeah, so you could just put that toe like front, rear, anywhere.
Correct.
I see. That's really cool.
I want the front bumper clean as possible, so I didn't want it sticking out of the front bumper. I don't plan on using it, so. I mean, yeah. It's one of them things. The very first day I'll be out there saying I wasn't gonna use that. You know? So my buddy Morgan, he laid the pipe, man. He built the bars and he welded the bars to the car, so the car is really, really super strong. It is amazing roll cage, and I'm proud of him that he could do this for me.
Well, one thing I always stress on my channel and in cars and racing or anything along the lines of performance is race or safety. 100%. That's why the chassis I picked up has a cage that's like way overdone for what I'm doing. A car going into a wall at 100 miles per hour is a car going into a wall at 100 miles per hour. It doesn't matter if it's a Civic with a single cam or a fully built Supra, you're gonna get hurt. That was my mindset for the roll cage. And for you to be building something like this, having the cage is like a requirement.
Correct.
You know?
Well, I built V1, what I call V1. It's the first car on my Instagram. You guys can go check it out. But the cage was unsafe. I got out at Road Atlanta and I said, you know, even the guy said, man, your cage don't look safe. And I'm like, yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't even welded all the way around. It had gussets. It was stiff, but it just wasn't safe. That's kind of what made me start a whole nother build was let's build a safe cage, but I utilized the cage to make the car as strong as possible. Frame rail to rear frame rails, and I just tied it into the whole car.
Right. So I mean, it's like, what's the point if you're not going to do it the right way?
When you
right?
say what is your suspension, it's roll cage.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
exactly.
every point is
stiffen everything up.
Everywhere it's roll cage. On an old chassis like this, that's a bonus. You know.
Your steering column, I'm very intrigued there. That I forget because I didn't know anything about the steering column until I saw it in your car, and I looked it up and was like, huh, that's really cool. I was like, cleans everything up. It's so nice. What like, who makes it? Like, what's that all about?
It's just kind of a one-off piece. I integrated a Howie in it, and the ratio of it is 1.5 quicker than the OEM stuff.
I see.
So the front tires turn quicker to full max, so I'm not doing hand over hand.
Right.
When I'm doing a tight turn on a road course.
Right. So less effort for more
correct.
turn.
And I think that I'm gonna have to add a power steering pump or something.
Because with 295s.
Really, I drove it today up and down the driveway. It was a little tough, man. I was like,
You're like hanging all your weight on it on one side.
it's not that bad, but it's pretty rough.
Just work on your curves.
and that's true too. Other key points is I'm running FuelTech FT500. That's what runs the car. There's no other system other than a bunch of relays that goes with those guys' stuff, and that's why I like it. Super light. It'll run anything I want. It'll do 1,000 horsepower, 500 horsepower, naturally, turbo.
Wait, so that right there is the ECM right there.
That is it.
And it's also the dash.
Correct.
So typically you'll have like a separate ECM or ECU, and then you'll have a digital dash. With this unit, the FT500, is that right? FT500 from FuelTech. Everything's integrated into one unit, which is really cool. And then again, goes along the goal of Mark's build is to be able to save weight. So instead of having two different units, he has one all built into one unit. Yeah, the Haltech or...
Which I may do the AIM because, the AIM.
AIM dash, an MXL or something.
With all the options, it can give you a lot more. Eventually, I want to go to tire sensors built into the car that tells me what the temperature
Tire
is.
temps.
So I'm not checking it. I just look at the dash.
Right, all the information's there.
I've been talking to Professional Awesome about that a little bit.
Yep. I've been seeing a lot of their, because they just came out with that kit, right? The tire temp sense.
They did. There's like the cutoff switch is mounted real low. Toe stuff is mounted real low. My cell phone holder, I'll still have my cell phone with me and it's not gonna fly around. Some other key features is I raised the floor up with a carbon fiber plate.
Of course, quick disconnects. So I have a race bred heel plate.
Do you?
Yeah, a race bred heel plate, but that's like completely custom. Yeah, that's really cool.
Right here is my, this is a switch just to have backup lights. So if they safety inspect me, I have the backup lights. I have an iPad in here. I like my music and I can navigate off my dash in my car. It actually has a port that charges, so it's removable.
Oh, it's really cool. Wait, hold on. Okay, so I'm just finally really like looking at this dash. This is all custom then, huh?
Yeah, I made all that.
Oh, dude, that's so cool. Because and then in a factory dash here, you got your climate controls.
Correct.
And what else? And the radio here.
Correct.
And the radio here.
But I deleted the factory. No heat, no nothing.
I kind of just like grazed over it real quick before, and I was like, I see a tablet of some kind, but I didn't like think about exactly what. Like the work you went through to get it to mount there.
Yeah.
Damn, that's so cool.
That's how I listen to my music.
Really neat.
And I watch YouTube. I'm driving down the road.
BB Speed, subscribe.
So, a cool feature about that thing is like, when I do feature this car on all the steps that I recorded, I can play it at a car show. And people can watch YouTube of me building this car.
Yeah, there you go.
So
there you go.
Yeah. So that was a key feature I wanted to do. Some other stuff is there's a factory hole right here and I just barely drilled it out, and that's actually for my headlights. Move 2 bolts and the whole headlight, unplug it, and the assembly's out. So that runs the turn signals, the parking lights, and the headlights.
So now, since we're on the topic of electrical, you want to go through, I know you got a PDM set up in here, right?
It is, yes. But there's also all the factory. So FuelTech needs relays for like starting and boost controllers and the fans, and that's what all that stuff's for. And now, like my headlights, my parking lights, my rear view mirror, corner lights, my horn, my oil, my AccuSump, it's all controlled by the PDM.
And PDM, for you folks who don't know what that is, it's a power distribution module. And it's basically like a fuse box that has all your fuses, relays, everything internal, solid state built into this little box. So it gets rid of like a whole bunch of wiring, a bunch of weight. And that's, for you, that's super important, losing all that weight. Oh, again, and you did all the wiring in this car. Nothing is factory, right?
Correct. All the wiring was done by me. It's the engine, the interior, the outer lights, everything was wired up by me. One thing to point out is all the wiring, this is probably the highest point of all the wiring, except for what has to go up top. Everything else is just down low for low center of gravity.
I see.
Everything is under the car.
Cool.
This thing it's elegant, right? There's nothing, like it is a show car, it is a race car, but it's not showy or flashy, right? It's a very elegant, very clean build that is not in your face, is not trying to like be out there and be the beast. It's just gorgeous, right? Like like the tow hook, the attention to detail on the tow hook, and with everything that you've done here, it's just like everything so thought out. Like you can look at it and say like, that's not the first time he thought about that. You know?
Yeah, he's been thinking about that for a while.
He thought about that for a long time and like came up with like that is exactly what he wanted. That's exactly what you intended to do with it. Like, and that really, like, for someone who's been building cars for a long time, like you know, oh yeah, I'm gonna steal that.
It's gonna be on my car soon. I'm doing it over this winter.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, someone beat me to it. That's great.
I've already had people saying, yeah, I'm taking that idea, dude.
But I mean, even the simpler things that, you know, a lot of us already know, which, you know, going into the horns for the wing, it's like, you know, a lot of people don't do that because it's too hard, or a lot, you know, like, oh God, I gotta spend like 2 hours measuring stuff. It's like, well, no, yeah, you do, but that's what you get as a result, like we saw when you shook the entire car from one side. Correct. And it's like that right there, like those little things, although very basic race car stuff, you know, in show cars you don't see that, but the thing is, like, the way that you've done it
it's functional.
Yeah.
It's functional. Yeah. It's form and function, right? Yeah. And this is...
And it still looks good. It's not big and gaudy. It's not what...
Right.
It's not screwed to my roof and screwed to my trunk.
Right.
What does that do?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You just
what is the outcome of
putting
that?
holes in carbon fiber is like...
So this way is it's all... It's sturdy and strong, and I can...
Right.
The cool thing is I can remove it, put the street wing on it,
right.
Go down the road.
Low key.
Yeah.
That's the thing I really like about this, is how elegant everything is. Very well thought out. It's curated in a way that you would put together a collection of, you know, art pieces or, you know, musical pieces or whatever. Like, what you've done here is you've curated a lot of fantastic, wonderful, simple ideas into something that is going to be extremely fast.
Yes.
And that ticks all the boxes for me. That's just so cool.
This is like the definition of, have you guys seen that there's like a documentary video, I think it was Lit Match Productions put out a while back, called Pursuit of Function?
Not sure.
From the Cali guys. It's an old video. Like, I have it on DVD. That's all we're gonna see. Yeah. So, and they talked about like function over form, or form over function. And I think to go off of what you were saying, Brandon, is that like it's pretty, but then also it's functional, right. But then it's not also like too showy.
Right.
And the big thing they said about it, function over form, or form over function, is that the function is the actual form. Right. So this is all built off of function, and because it's built properly, it is now the form, right? So it's like, this is the actual definition of that, for sure.
Like, you know, he's talking about getting all the weight low with the wiring, with all your plumbing and everything. It's like you stand back and look at it, and you look at the car, and there is nothing above the shoulder except for the roll cage.
What has to be?
Right.
That's it.
Right. And so everything is
even
the entire. You cut the roof off this car.
Just a little side note, like every bolt, I measured the length to make sure that they didn't go too far out.
Nice.
Now I got a few wrong. Or I had a few that I had laying around that would work, and being the price, I kind of stuck with them.
Yeah.
But I would say 80% of the bolts are actually to a certain length to where they're not too much bolt hanging off, just to lose the extra weight.
Just lose the extra weight, and you can see it. You get a particular angle on this car, and you can see, oh yeah, this. You can just see where the weight lies. You can see the geometry working properly. You can see how like you were talking about, the roll cage is the suspension, right? It is the chassis.
It is integrated in. Yeah.
And it's like, it just wears this really nice, familiar skin that we're all, in love with.
Correct. So another feature is I'm not going away from the EG look. I'm not going to do a different bumper. I'm not going to do a different rear bumper. I want it to look like Honda.
Right.
EG. I mean, there's the factory bumper. It's already made, done.
Oh, nice.
It's ready to go on, but I got a few little things to do.
Little surprises, right?
Yeah.
That's what I love this.
So one of the problems with the factory bumper, it's not wide enough. So I got to make some fill plates and stuff like that. But that's really the only. I want it to look Honda. I want it to be a Honda EG hatchback. That's what I want.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, I think, like, to me, this is what those types of things where, like, you're making sure the bolt lengths are, like, just right. You don't have too much for the extra weight. Like, those are the types of things that separate, like, the great from, the typical everyday Civic build that you see on YouTube or on the street. Is that, like, there's so much thought that goes into something like this. It's like, and I've said this before, like, so many kids nowadays, they want that instant gratification. Like, they just go on eBay and buy all the knockoff parts and throw everything on the car. And now the car looks like crap. Nothing works the way it's supposed to. But, like, something like this takes tons of time, tons of thought. It doesn't happen overnight. And you've probably been working on, how long have you been working on this thing?
Since January.
And it's actually running now, right?
Yeah.
It's running now. Big step.
It doesn't like cold starts, but I can start it for you guys.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Let's hear it.
Do it. Let's see if she'll be a cooperative girl.
Is your fuel pumps going? You hear them? Priming for a couple seconds.
I'll probably have to play the drop line.
Feeling once you get the engine running, right? You're like,
it's actually been a really big headache because I've had some wiring and some temperature issues, but I finally, yesterday, I'm starting to get a hold of it and go the other way. So yeah, it's starting to be like, it's finally starting to start. It's revving. I drove it up the driveway for the first time. So that's huge.
It is huge. Those little goals and you hit just are absolutely monumental.
Yes.
Great for the morale. Great for the morale, because you're like, I'm finally getting somewhere. It's like it's getting there. It's getting closer. It's getting so close.
People are starting to say, when is it coming out? I'm not rushing the final touches. Like all these holes that you see, I gotta fix all that. All that'll be filled in with carbon fiber. So, and I actually may use this duct right here to cool me, and just little things like that I still gotta do. Always, when I'm racing, I'll leave it on. There you go. I know who's coming up behind me. and it charges the radio.
That's so awesome.
Radiator is so efficient that I actually, if I run the electric pump, it takes it forever to heat up. So I have a switch right here. I just flip the switch off so the engine can get some warm, and once it starts getting up to temperature, I flip the switch and the pump will run.
Let's talk about this work right here, because this isn't factory. You've owned an EG. This usually is not there. Well, it's not there.
No.
It's not there at all. What's the reasoning behind that? I mean, it seems pretty obvious for most people, but some people are like, why did you do that?
When I went to Road Atlanta with V1 and I had a 17 by 9 and I was trying to turn, I had a lot of rubbing and cutting issues. So on this car, even with stepping up to the 295, I knew I was going to have rubbing and scrubbing problems. So I actually went in here and cut everything out I could and reinforced it with roll bar. That's where the fender roll came into place. And I actually bought trailer fenders off eBay, nothing special. They're like 50 bucks. I cut them to the shape I wanted them. It's one, and that's both one fender. And I just fitted them to retain the factory mount point over there, and then over here, but it helped with clearance for turning and scrubbing, and when I hit bumps that there's nothing hitting my tires, because safety is a big concern too.
Over here, it seems like over there seems really simple, and you would think it's like the same on this side.
No, it's very complicated.
But it's very complicated over here because this has to support the whole engine setup right here, because the factory mount is right here. So when you're cutting all this out, it needs to be reinforced properly, and that's why you have all of this tubing here to make sure that it's just. I mean, it's Hondas in general, just like super thin metal.
Correct.
Like, super thin.
Like this metal right here, I filled in super thin. That metal over here, because that it's right here, it's like 14, 15. It's thicker than what this side was, and
right.
Yet again, I had weight in mind over here, and I had safety in mind over there.
Yeah, but like something like this is just like, you just cut it out, weld a couple pieces of metal, and call it a day.
Yeah,
that needs to be structurally sound.
That
it's
was
a lot
hours
of work.
and hours and hours.
Yeah.
Even the back here and on that side, I chopped that out. You can, if you get in here and look, you can see what I done was move that up, because on the factory cars they have this part that humps down, like you would catch your factory tray or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Your fuse box.
Yep, your fuse box is right there.
It catches it, so it comes down like 3 inches lower than what I've done. So I moved all that up to give tire clearance.
And it's just not something simple that you just get done in a day. Not at all.
and the benefit of the rotisserie for stuff like this was amazing.
Oh, let's talk about that. Yeah, you had this thing on a rotisserie. You guys don't know what a rotisserie is. I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like, right?
Turkey, baby.
Yeah, turkey. You actually have the whole car mounted on this giant rotisserie, and then you're able to just like spin it however you want, fabricate whatever you want on it, do the body work, all that stuff. That's like my dream, to actually build a car that way, rotisserie, like strip it completely down, paint it, do all the fabrication you need to.
Exactly.
It's just like it's so much better than like having your car in jack stands and then like crawling under it, like inching your way out. It's just like so much work.
Rotisserie was a dream, and what year was it? 2019 February. I went and picked up a rotisserie for $854, and everybody asked me that. Where did I get it? I've got the receipt. If you want to know, hit me up. I'll show you. All the time I'm getting questions on that. I drove and picked it up. I brought it home and put the car on there. Like the glue on the bottom of the car, that made my life so much easier, but it was still hard, but I could just move it to the position I needed and work, and still lay on the ground and push up with your arms, and I could stand there, look down and up. And a rotisserie was a dream of mine. I made it come true, and I will never build another one without one.
Oh man, now you're spoiled.
Yeah, spoiled. Actually, V2's out there on the rotisserie right now.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Like one hand this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's 12 pounds. So, and that's with the glass and all that. So it's actually lighter than that.
Oh, that's who makes that quick connect?
K-Tune.
K-Tune, that's it.
Okay.
Quick connect for the door. See that? Take it off, pop it on, just like that. Yeah. It's a race car. Everything's got to be modular, right?
So I do have factory OEM doors that's cut out and lined up, but you know these will be on here most of the time.
Carbon roof too. We actually have a friend. His name's Josh, and I'm actually wearing a shirt, Artisan Research. He does his own carbon work too. If you need some info, hit me up and I can get you hooked up with them.
Okay.
So my little horn delete on my steering wheel, he made that too. Just like little things you just like make out of scrap pieces of carbon.
Oh, wow.
So Mark, thank you for having us here. If you if anyone wants to follow Mark's on Instagram.
Rocket_EG6.
It's actually engraved or cut out, not engraved. On his side skirts, lasered out. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to stay up to date with cars like this, I'm sure we'll be back to film it again. If you guys want to stay up to date with this type of stuff and my own build, please consider subscribing. That would be great. And if you guys like it, share the video. All right, thanks again, Mark. That was awesome.
Guys.